here, all right? Anyone know the song, This Little Light of Mine? You do? I'm so glad you're so excited to sing it. All right, so we're going to sing it, all right? And I'm going to shine my light here. Ready? So this little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. This little light of mine, it's not shining. So it's not shining. Why not? Oh, I got to do something with that? Oh, all right. Well, here. I got it over here. We'll try this again then. We'll try this again. Got to be plugged in. Who'd have thought you got to be plugged in? All right. Ready? So let's try this again. Whew. All right, ready? This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, thank you. I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Awesome, very nice. You all sounded great. Thank you for the tambourine. Oh, Elsa wants to keep going. I'm sorry, you should have let us. Oh. All right, so much better. The lamp is brightly shining, right? It's pretty hard for a light to shine if it's not connected to a power source. It's actually impossible, right? We saw it was not plugged in, could not turn it on. Did anyone hear what Kristen read? I know Garrett was talking a little bit back there, being cute, and you are 100% correct. That is what we want, is we want young people in this church. But what she said, what Kristen read, is that Jesus told his disciples a story to help them understand why it's important to stay connected to Jesus. He didn't use a lamp, he used a vine. Now, a vine is a plant with a lot of branches growing out from it, and the branches have fruit on them. What fruit do you think of when you hear the word vine? Grapes. Thank you, Finn. Yes, we think of grapes. Now, let's also think of a branch that's been broken off a tree, right? Or it's been broken off a vine, maybe. What happens to it? It dies. Can it bear fruit again? No more fruit, right? What do we usually do with a branch like this? Well, we do. There, thank you. Yeah, usually we'll throw it in the fire, right? It's good firewood. You play catch with a dog. All these fun things we can do with it, yes. But in the passage today, Jesus said, I am the vine and you are the branches. If you remain in me, you will have much fruit. But apart of me, you can do nothing. And Jesus wants us to produce fruit. He wants us to produce good fruit. Now, I'm not thinking about apples and oranges and grapes and bananas, but what do you think good fruit is? What? Hold up. I'll get to you in just a moment. Yes. Thank you. You're yes, young at heart, I understand. What do we think of as good fruit? So love. Say it. Jazz, thank you. It's good to see you. Kindness. What? Peace. What else? What? Patience. There's a lot of good fruit that we can produce, right? And it is important that we remember we can't do that on our own, right? That's why just as our lamp needs to be plugged in before its light can shine, and just like the branches must be connected to the vine before it can produce fruit, you and I have to stay connected to Jesus to be able to produce the good fruit that God expects of us. How do you stay connected to Jesus? Praying. Going to church. Yes, Jazz? Read the Bible. How about going to jam? That was right off the top of your tongue there. Yeah, tip of the tongue coming out. All these things we can do, right? We produce this good fruit. Staying connected to God is really going to help us to do that. And there are a lot of different ways that we can stay connected to God. And it is important for us to do that. And that's where I'm going to lead into the adult message. But before we do that, I shouldn't say adult message, the bigger message. Before we do that, please bow your head in prayer with me. Dear God, help us remember that we need to stay plugged into Jesus if we're going to produce the kind of fruit that you expect. In Jesus' name, amen. You can go back to your seats. Thank you, guys. So I have had many different versions of what I was going to say today. I actually had planned on pretty much what my message was going to be for weeks. I bought a couple of props. I was prepared until the events that happened Friday night. So if you cry easily watching someone else cry, you might want to get out your Kleenexes. I do have a couple of extra Kleenexes here. I'm going to try very hard to keep myself together. Had I known this weekend was going to be so emotional for me, I probably would have asked Pastor Paul to move me, but I was not prepared. So I did something on Friday night that I have never done before. Anyone else ever dropped off a child at college? I dropped off my firstborn at the University of Tampa, and I just was not prepared for the emotions that I have gone through since Friday night. I call it a flood, but it really is more like a hurricane. For the last 16 years, I actually have had shared custody with Alec, and between Alec and Alec's dad. I've had him 50% of the time, meaning that when we first started with the shared custody, I saw him half of the week, and then eventually evolved, and we were switching back every other week, so you could almost say half of the month at that time. But regardless, I was not a stranger to not having Alec at my house. Many times have I dropped him off at his dad's house, waved, and left, right? And so I thought, I've got this. I know what I'm doing. No big deal. Told myself many times, he's only an hour away, right? I can go see him whenever I want, right? He can come home whenever he wants. No big deal. He's a friendly guy. He's going to make friends quickly. A lot of justifying in my head that this was no big deal. I had no idea the pain that I was going to feel as I drove home Friday night. None. So we did have a nice time leading up to that, parked the car, unpacked the car, got his room set up, we ate dinner, of course had to do one more trip to Walmart because heaven forbid we forgot some silly things that we needed. Everything happened just fine, and so I thought, piece of cake. I saw a couple of other moms in the hallways that were crying, and I thought, oh, they must live out of state, right? And I'm like, they're going home. They're not going to get to see their kid. And so I thought, this is great, no big deal. And then it came time to say goodbye and to leave, and it felt easy. Put my arms around him, gave him a hug, told him I loved him, told him to have a good time. As we pulled away, he somewhat jokingly said to me, "Take me home with you." And I chuckled. I was like, ha, 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 so funny. Waved at his roommates and walked out the door. And I thought, oh, this is nothing. No big deal. Wow, great job. So I got to my car, turned on an episode of the podcast that I like to listen to, pulled out of the parking lot and headed home. And at some point, I realized I had no idea what was being talked about on this podcast. My brain was running in a million different directions and had nothing to do with whatever the podcast was about. I was consumed with what I was feeling. And then I realized that I had felt this feeling before, but I really couldn't put my finger on when or where I had felt it before. So I turned off the podcast, I put on some quiet music, and I kind of sat there and I thought about it, and then it hit me. And I knew that I had felt this feeling 18 years ago when I dropped him off at daycare for the very first time. And it boggles my mind how similar of an experience that is. For daycare, I was excited to buy all the things he'd need, right? We got new blankets, new bottles, new pacifiers, right? I was excited I was going to get to go back to work and see my coworkers. I knew I was going to miss Alec while I was at work, but nothing prepared me for actually walking out of that daycare building, right? Because again, then you start to realize you're leaving him behind. You get to go, you leave him behind. But thank goodness for daycare, again, a little different because I knew that it would only be a matter of hours before I was going to be back, right? And that he was going to be taken care of. There were adults there that were going to feed him, help him clean, help keep him clean. They were going to entertain him, put him down for naps. all those things that you hope a daycare does, or at least you're paying them to do. Hopefully they're doing it. But the reality of leaving your child at college, bye, see ya, good luck, make sure you eat and shower, bye. There's no one there that ultimately is taking care of him. He's on his own. So for me, about halfway through my drive home, my first emotional storm, or maybe my outer band, if we're thinking about hurricanes, it hit. I called my parents and I'm crying. They said, they tried to say all the right things, which was also very interesting to me because I never left to go to college, and my sisters never left to go to college. We moved straight from our parents' home into the house with someone else, which I assume probably is similar. But yet I thought to myself, well, they don't know. They've never left me at college by myself. But I'm sure to a certain extent they felt those same feelings. So I felt a little better. I made it home. And when I got home, that was when the hurricane hit. And poor Bryce and Finn, they were right there for it. Bryce and Finn met me at the door, and I don't really remember exactly how it all happened. One of them asked me, how it went, and I was just like, fine. And I don't exactly remember what all happened. I'm pretty sure at some point I said, but I'm not fine, and that was it. The floodgates opened, and I sobbed and sobbed and sobbed. And poor Bryce, right? Very good, just sat there, arms around me, hugging me, and it was just really hard to believe that I had just left my little baby boy in some unfamiliar room with some unfamiliar person with all the things he needed to take care of himself, but I wasn't going to be back in a few hours to pick him up. Now, you could say, yes, but Holly, you're going to see him next Friday. You guys are picking him up to go to Pennsylvania for the weekend. It's only a week, but is he going to survive the week without me? What? Somehow, he had to go to bed at some point, right? He had to get himself up on Saturday to go to something for school, a convocation. He had to do homework Saturday afternoon. He had to eat and shower. I assume he's doing all of this stuff, but I don't really know, right? He has to go it alone. So yesterday, I was sitting at the computer and I was trying so hard to write out what I had originally planned for today. And it was going to be a lot more fun than my sob story here. But I couldn't even get a paragraph out because I have been so consumed by this. I had no idea how consumed I was going to be. And I apologized to my family. Well, at least to Bryce. I apologized to him. I didn't apologize to my kids, which I probably could or should. Poor Imogen kind of got the brunt of it yesterday morning. I was not a happy person yesterday morning. But bottom line is I had to shift my direction, and it also brought me to something that I don't know if I would have come to without having this experience. So I'll get to that. So the thought that Alec has to go this alone, does he really? Jesus said, I am the vine and you are the branches. Jesus is always with us. God is the gardener. God is always with us. And I began to wonder, does Alec know that? Does he know that God and Jesus are always with him? Is he plugged into Jesus? I can take comfort in knowing that I did lay, or at least help to lay the foundation, right? You could say I planted the seeds. We read the Bible, we prayed, attended Sunday church, Sunday school, participated in Wednesday night activities. And with God's pruning, right, I helped to do that. But now it really is on Alec to remain in Jesus. And that's when I started to think about that. And I thought, man, this is actually very relevant to what I want to talk about today and YAFYC. Because prior to yesterday, I would have said that we are doing enough to start up for young adults, right? We're going to start up a Wednesday night class. We're going to start up a Sunday school class. Psh, done. But that's really not enough. Because in thinking about it, none of that allows Alec to participate, if he wanted to, right? It doesn't allow, now you could say, well, what about Zoom? Okay, all right, so what about Zoom? So let's say that we did Wednesday night young adult class and Sunday morning young adult class via Zoom. Well, Alec has a class on Wednesday night from 6 to 9 p.m. Well, that takes him off of being able to participate as well. I have two other young adults, right? Audie and Lexi. They have been religiously coming to Wednesday nights. Very proud of them. I reached out to them. Audie has a class on Wednesday night, and Lexi has to work now on Wednesday night. So again, even if I did Zoom, they're not going to be able to attend. So then I really started to think about how do we do this? If we want to reach out to young adults, how are we going to do that? Because my young adult starter group obviously is disbanded and it hasn't even started, but I'm not giving up. We're not giving up. Prior to Friday, I would have thought that, again, we're good. We're good with what we've got, but now we need to figure out how can we connect the young adults to help keep them plugged into Jesus. So again, had I thought about this prior, no, and I probably would have changed. And so Quinn, I probably could have told you, let's change it to like something about being plugged in. But I think it also, a growing vine is still relevant as well, because even with him, Alec, not being here, Audie and Lexi not being able to come on Wednesday night, we still can grow as a church into that vine or those vines to offer things that are more geared to them. I wish Pastor Paul was here right now. Hopefully he's listening, because I really want him to know. He has talked about fresh expressions more times than I can count over the last 4 years. And every year, every time I'm like, yeah, okay, all right. I really did not understand fresh expressions until this weekend, because we cannot, in my mind, again, fresh expressions, let's just do a class, right? No big deal. What else do we need to do? But we know that young adults, they're busy. They're dealing with a lot. They've got school. They've got work. They've got other activities. So we need to find ways to be able, and I know, Chandler, I'm sorry, I didn't even get to tell you about this before, so you're hearing this firsthand here, but we need to find ways to be able to connect these young adults, plug them back into church. And it's not going to be a class, a formal class in a classroom. We can do that. I'm not saying we're not going to do that, but there definitely have to be other ways to be able to connect with them. Maybe we're going to do a podcast where we can invite young adults to come and sit with us, talk about an issue or two that they want to, put that podcast out there. Maybe we have live streaming. Maybe we do a YouTube channel. There's a lot of different ways, and that's how kids connect today. Finn, how many views do you have on your YouTube channel now, or how many subscribers? Yeah, I know you know the number. Is it over 100 yet? Oh, 70? He's at 85. Thank you, Imogen. At least Imogen knows the number. 80, and not to discredit him or take away from it for him, but he's not even doing anything, right? He's just putting little videos out there that he makes that have no kind of topic on them. So it makes me wonder if we did these content-driven, in my mind, right, relevant and up-to-date information or talking about certain issues with young adults, 85 subscribers for what ultimately is nothing. I know it's something to you, Finn. I'm not trying to take away from that. But it makes me wonder how many people, how many young adults are out there waiting for us to connect to them on some level? Because I don't know. I have never had to think about this before. Never. I could have, but it wasn't relevant to me. And unfortunately, sometimes it's things that you aren't relevant to you that you go, yeah, whatever. Okay, sounds good to me. Someone else will worry about it. Well, now I have to worry about it. But that's okay. That's okay. I don't mind, because it really has helped drive my interest in it and my passion that we need to take this further than just a Wednesday night class and a Sunday school class. We have to. I don't have all the answers. I don't know how it's going to get done. We're going to try. We're going to do the best that we can to find various methods. We're going to see what sticks. There's going to be things that are going to work, things that aren't going to work, and that's okay. It doesn't matter. I do want to go over. So we sent out those questionnaires to young adults. And Quinn, you win gold medal for sending in the most responses. Thank you very much for that. But thank you to everyone who sent in responses. I didn't count how many there was. I did this very quickly this morning. But it's not too late. If you still have those questions out there to a young adult, please don't hesitate to send it in, because it was actually very, very interesting. I wouldn't say surprising. I do want to say that majority of the responses are people that are not, or from young adults that are not in the church. So I don't want you to hear these responses and go, ooh, what are we doing wrong? Because it was just general responses that are general people that we put this out to. So the first question was, how does church make you feel? And again, not surprising, right? Some said that it makes them feel like safe. They think of worship. They like the tradition. It's a place to instill values in children. Some of them, one of them called it a hospital for sinners, which, I mean, I guess you could say that. But then also at that same time, it's a hospital for everyone because we're all sinners. Someone said it's like a family of like-minded people coming together to practice their common shared faith. So you could tell some of them were plugged into churches or probably had some kind of positive experience with a church. Obviously, there's the other side of the spectrum where some said it was boring, hypocritical, hurtful, and I understand that too. I'm not saying it's us. I'm not saying those responses came from people here, but just my experience out in the world, right? Not surprised. Question number 2, what could the church do more or less of? And so again, not really surprised by these. One said that church could be more welcoming. They could have a welcoming, relatable person in charge of the group, which I found interesting. I hope that you and I are welcoming and relatable, but I don't know, right? Right, what does that mean? Someone said members need to be more understanding of young person's sin instead of putting young people down. I do find that one interesting because, again, we're all sinners. So the thought that someone in the church is not going to be, or that they think, right, their perception is that someone in the church is not going to be understanding of their sin. I wondered what kind of connection they've had with church and Jesus, but I didn't, right? These all just came in through email. More responses included, they want more of treating everyone with kindness, being actively involved in the community, being more accepting of different people and different looking people, provide resources for young people such as support groups like parent groups and marriage conferences, make services more relatable to younger generations, creating spaces for open dialogue about contemporary issues. A lot of neat things, good stuff. That I feel like we can really use to move forward. There are things there that we as a church can do to move forward and to do more of. And then the last question was, what do you like to do in a group setting? I think most of us, right? That's kind of an easy one. Eat. There was potlucks, there was cookouts, host a Bible study at someone's house, be social and have fun, like a beach day, hiking, or casual gathering at a local cafe or brewery. I'm going to skip the beach day. I'm not a beach person. So church organized play date where parents can connect while the kids play. I found that very interesting because, again, I should have stated that, right, when we're thinking about young adults, we're thinking about those between 18 and 35. There are people here, Matt, that falls within that category, and he has young children, right? So it's not just about, Matt, I use the example because you fall into that age range. It's not just about getting our 18 to 35-year-old people here, but we have to remember that some of them have families, and we have to take care of those children, which you can say again, well, we've got Wednesday night jam, and we've got Sunday school, but if we're going to be having fun activities as young adults, we have to make sure that their kids are taken care of as well. Who's gonna volunteer to babysit that? I will, but I have to be in help with the gathering as well. They also said, where am I? Now I've completely lost my, they've also said that they want low pressure, fun activities that offer a chance to meet new people and build connections, group cooking, bowling, axe throwing. I thought that was interesting. I know that is a big thing right now, is axe throwing. I've never done it. Game nights. And this all sounds great. It sounds easy enough, right? But again, the big question that I have asked multiple times is, who's going to do this? Chandler and I were just two people. Yes, we can start it, but we're going to see where it takes off. But it really is going to be a church activity. This is a church goal, right? We need to reach out to young adults. Whether they are coming here or not, we are going to find those ways to be able to connect with them and, again, plug them back into Jesus. So with that, for just a moment, I am going to switch gears and talk about what is YAFYC currently doing to plug in. And again, as mentioned, JAM, Wednesday night, Jesus and Me. It does start back up August 28th. We share a meal from 6 to 6:30, and then classes break out from 6:30 to 7:30. Kristen is leading the nursery class for us. Maria is going to lead the children, or continue to lead the children class. Matt is leading the youth, and then Chandler and I are going to do something, lead the young adults, and figure out how we're going to do that. As I mentioned last week, we're going to do meals differently. In the past, I have sent around a sign-up sheet and begged and pleaded for you to come in and provide the meal. I have a couple of people that have offered to make the meal every Wednesday, but we need your financial help. Because it can be very costly trying to provide a meal for 40 people. So I am not at a point where I want to charge like adults for coming to our Wednesday night meal. I still would like to offer it to anyone. So please, 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 instead of coming in to make a meal, if you can provide money to help us, it would be greatly appreciated. You can put some money in one of the pew envelopes and write JAM on there. Don't put it in the youth fund because it's two different funds. Write JAM on it for me, please. However, if you want to make a meal, I'm not going to tell you no. So if there is someone that you have made meals in the past and you want to come and make a meal again for a Wednesday night, please let me know and I can write your name down for one of those. It takes a village. We are going to continue It Takes a Village. Pastor Paul talked about that last week. The It Takes a Village concept is that we have someone from the church, from the community. If you know someone from the community that you think would be great at coming and do an hour presentation, I am open to pretty much anything. But bottom line, once a month, we try to have someone come in and do a presentation for the children on whatever you want. We like there to be a tie-in with God and Jesus and church, right? Because that's where we are, and it is a church group on Wednesday night. But it is open, right? We have had Howard came in and shared his woodworking that he does. Maria, I was going to say talked about her job, but she didn't. Maria talked about food and how that brings us together and how Jesus ate meals with his disciples and with other people. Jacinto talked about his job. Mike and Lamanda came in and we planted seeds together. I'm trying to remember. Betty brought in and did we make puppets? We made puppets and she did a really cute little puppet show. I'm actually really sad that I didn't videotape that. We've had a lot of really, really great things. And so I'd really like for you to think about how you can share something with them. Again, it can be pretty much whatever you want as long as we try and tie it back into some kind of a God theme. Elsa and Rev, they did some fun things too. If you'll pass that around, please. So I have my sign-up sheet. Once a month, I'd like a different person every month. If you have done it before and you want to come and do it again, as long as it's something different, I am fine with that. Imogene shared Africa and pictures and dance. If I've left you out, I apologize. It was not personal. I'm just having a really hard time remembering off the top of my head. I didn't write that down. On top of JAM, It Takes a Village and meals, obviously YAFYC is going to do a fall festival. We'll do our fall festival trunk or treat evening in the fall. We have not started planning that. If you are interested in being part of that planning session, please let us know. We got to get that going, and I'm very excited about that. And Pastor Paul also let me know that there are other churches in the area that are interested in partnering with us. So making it an even bigger event than what we've done in the past. I'm really excited about that. So in closing, YAFYC is doing well. I feel very, very good about YAFYC, where we are and where we can go. So that's how I'm tying it into my growing vine, that there's always room for us to grow. But I think about how JAM, when we started back in 2022 with JAM, we had 12 people. 12 people total. That was teachers and kids that came. Now we have upwards of 40, 45 people that come on Wednesday nights. That is so rewarding for me to see that happen. But it's not me that does it, right? It is you that does it. It is you that, by sharing what we do here at church, bringing your friends, bringing your family, that is what helps us to grow, keeping yourselves connected and helping people to plug into Jesus. We have a youth director. How amazing is that? We have been wanting a youth director for what feels like forever. He's here, and he is doing a great job. We've done a lot of fun events, and I know that Matt has a lot of great things in mind. Matt, do you want to come up? Where do you go? Oh, he's still there, yes. Do you want to come up for just a couple minutes and talk about some things you're doing in the youth? Let me see what time it is. We got a couple minutes. Come on up.
Good morning, church. Someone turned me on here. Thank you. Oh, no, maybe it was on. Well, thank you, Holly. That was very encouraging, I will say.
Thank you.
I've got my mic, so I'm going to use it to give thanks. I'm very thankful for that message. Honestly, speaking about your son going off to college, I've got 3 and 1 on the way, and I know there's parents here, and I can't imagine.
You're never going to be prepared for it.
Yeah, yes. I respect you quite a bit for that, and I'm thankful for this church. I'm thankful for you, Miss Holly. Topic of discussion: the youth. I'm very encouraged by our youth in this church. I was just talking this morning to Mike and Lamanda about this group. I was saying it's very uncommon. I've been to church in different parts of the country, New York, and I've been out in Texas, Ohio. I've been a lot of different places, and it's unique here to see such an engaged and active group of youth in this type of community. It does not happen very often. So the fact that we have 15 to 20 youth coming in regularly, honestly, I think is a testament to this church, what this church offers, what this church has offered. And I think it is also honestly a testament to the kids that we have. It's a very gifted group of kids. They're very wonderful. They're sweet. They're encouraging. They're smart. Honestly, I've been blown away by this group. In terms of what we have planned coming up, as last time I was up here, we talked about, we went door to door. That was fun, encouraging. I was blown away by, again, the kids, their response. They're wonderful. We have a couple of service projects coming up. We're intending on doing a lock-in where we all get together and spend the evening together, chatting, praying, having fun, going over the Word. We've got parties coming up. Holly has done a great job with Jam. I have not been to Jam yet, so I'm very excited for my first one on Wednesday, but we are intending on reintegrating back into Jam as a youth group, doing our meals together, having fun in that regard. I think my next big push, just so you know, as a church, I mean, I've shared this with Pastor Paul in our meetings and in my vision, but we are going to make a big online push, I think, with Brother Quinn and the excellent job he's been doing online. By the way, can we give Quinn like a round of applause here, by the way? I have the power to put people on the spot, and Holly did it to me, so I'm going to do it to someone else. I'm not a media, like a social media guy. I don't have any social media. I don't have Facebook. I don't have Instagram. I don't have anything. But I do, from time to time, hop on, and I've been seeing the clips of Pastor Paul on here. I've been seeing, we shared in our last meeting the outreach that we've had as a church in media, online. Our online presence has grown tremendously, and I think that's in large part to Brother Quinn. So I want to make that known here. But as far as the youth go, I think we're going to make a big push online to try to bring people in because, again, as I said, we have a large group, 15 to 20 kids. That's huge. But I am believing for even more young people, and with young people come their families. You know, talking about YAFYC, you know, when young people, and I've experienced this as a youth minister in other parts of the country. When young people come, their family comes, their friends come, their loved ones comes, their mom and dad. I've seen parents actually saved through their kids dragging their parents to church. I've seen it. It has happened. It's encouraging. And I've only been here for 2 months. I am very new. I'm also very new to Florida. It's been it's been a little bit of a crash landing, but I'm encouraged. I'm encouraged, obviously, for the youth. I love the youth, but I'm very encouraged for YAFYC. I believe that these are ground level things, but I believe with this solid foundation, like Holly's talking about, I think we're going to see a healthy church. Pastor Paul's talked about this transition that we've been going through. You know, he said last week, y'all refuse to, what did he say? Y'all refuse to die or whatever he said. I can't remember. I was laughing back there. He's talking about urine. He's talking about Pastor Paul sometimes, honestly, man. Sometimes I rewatch the sermons and just laugh to myself. I love Pastor Paul. But I think we have the foundations for a very vibrant and healthy church. Amen.
Amen.
All age ranges, all people, different ethnicities, different backgrounds. I think this church is well on their way to that, and I'm very encouraged to see that. That's all I got.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. So with that, it is time to sing. And I made sure to tell them to mute my microphone when I was singing, so hopefully you haven't heard me. They'll not like that.